very interesting.
So the Colts fired their head coach, rightfully so. They looked terrible. But they hired Jeff Saturday, who's a really big previous Colts player, center, Pro Bowler, a really good athlete, a really good player for the Colts. Dude's coaching a high school football team, and he's like 20-17. And they called him 2 calls. He was hired. I was like, what? He's like not even that good of a high school coach, and he's about to coach an NFL team. I couldn't believe it. It's so wild to me.
Yeah, I think so I think it's just fascinating because in the article, I read the Yahoo Sports one. I don't know if that's the one that the link for mine wasn't working for some reason. So in this article, it says like, it talks about 2 different paths about like how this is absolutely ridiculous. But it also says on the flip side, like if this works out, like that could be really cool. And they talk about how this is basically like, because they bring up Ted Lasso in it, which I haven't seen the show, but obviously I know the premise, and how this is like almost right out of like a TV or movie. And yeah, if it works out that it could change, I don't think it'll change the landscape of coaching or anything, but it does like plant a seed in your head. Like, do you really need the experience? I don't know, but
I give this a 1% chance of working out. Ted Lasso is a comedy for a reason.
Exactly.
I mean, there are dudes who coach high school to college to a coordinator in the NFL, and they're finally a head coach, and they still suck ass.
Yeah, because they talk about, because this came out, Tuesday, so they're going in and playing the Raiders. So they talk about the Raiders head coach and all of his experience and how their team is also terrible as well.
What is going on with my fucking thing?
What?
This article keeps making noise.
Hold on.
Like, pause. Okay, we're good. The article, like, kept playing this video, and I could not get it to stop.
What's the Deion Sanders of it all?
Because, like, he...
Oh, yes.
Shits on the fact that he's not the Florida State.
Okay, that's a great point. I'll bring that up.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Figured that was a nice break, and I could interject that.
Yes. I forgot what we were even saying before this, so hopefully it flows.
I don't.
But if not, you edit, so we're good.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think like I'm just a hopefully optimistic person, especially when it comes to my sports teams, hence why I'm still fans of all the teams I'm still fans of. But anyways, so I'm hoping this works out just for like the storyline of it all. Do I think it's going to? Probably not, because like you said, we've had so many coaches who've had years of experience, whether in college football or professionally or all of it, and they are not successful. And I think this article kind of reminded me of the whole situation with Deion Sanders and how FSU was obviously looking for a new coach, and everyone was like, Deion Sanders, like really wanted him, like so pissed when FSU didn't hire him. And as a fan, I'm like, he doesn't have the experience yet. Like, he obviously is very pivotal in football. He understands the game, one of the best FSU and NFL players of all time. Like, he's a great player, but I don't think he was ready to coach a team. It's very different. And I think because in the article I read, it said how Jeff Saturday like is confident in himself as a man, and he can lead a team to success and this and that. And I think that's great. And I think the same for Deion Sanders. He's a great leader, very inspirational. I'm sure he could light a fire under the FSU players. But there's a whole other side to coaching with like the technicalities and like even managing like other, like in college football, it's obviously like young athletes. And I think it takes a certain level of experience. So now obviously Deion Sanders coaching at Jackson State. And he's doing a great job, and he'll keep gaining that experience to eventually, I would love him to be an FSU football coach. That would be awesome. But I want him to do it when he has the experience. And I just remember, I think it was after FSU LSU, our first game of the season, obviously a huge win for us. And Stephen A. Smith was like going off and how he hates FSU and how he's still pissed off that they didn't hire Deion Sanders. And I understand, like, from a diversity standpoint, because this article does talk about how there's an issue in the NFL with hiring Black head coaches, and then the Colts hire Jeff Saturday. Like, why? So I totally get it from that standpoint. But I think, like, you need the experience. And I think it was interesting that this article brought up the lack of Black head coaches in the NFL, and that there's plenty who are way more experienced than this guy, but the Colts hired Jeff Saturday. Why?
Yeah, I think it talks about how the Rooney Rule, essentially, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a policy in place to make sure that a team interviews at least one or more diverse candidates before making a hire. The rule does not apply to interim head coaches. So he could essentially step into this role as an interim and be great, and they could just promote him and not have to mess with this at all. Not that that's what they're trying to do. I'm sure that's really great lengths to not have to interview a Black person, but yeah. It is, it does kind of step that rule as well. And I truly can't see how a person who's coaching at a 500 level at the high school level is going to translate with this Colts team with a young quarterback, a shitty offensive line, how this is going to translate into any sort of success. Because I really think they're kind of looking for a miracle, like a Ted Lasso miracle here.
Yeah, honestly, the end of this article is wild. So it's, again, talking about the lack of diversity, and it says, because I know how you said it doesn't come into play with an interim job, but basically how everyone is viewing this is like he's going to get hired as a full-time gig no matter what. And it says Jeff Saturday was gifted an interim job, and according to his boss, it's clear there's a not small chance he'll get the job full-time gig come January. No lines, no waiting. No earning it either. Who needs merit when you're white and friends with the owner?
That's tough. I had read in some other article that they called Jeff Saturday before they fired the previous coach. Like, they had already made the first initial call.
They were already setting it up.
Essentially, I was like, that's insane. So they've probably had this like on their mind. I kind of think this is my prediction. The Colts will kind of finish out the rest of their season pretty average. They'll probably win just as many as they lose, if not like a 40-60 split. They'll think it's good enough. They'll think it's a start in the right direction, hire him, and it will be a very terrible decision that they'll figure out 3 years down the road when they're racking up first and second picks in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I think that, again, this just sounds like you are friends with the owner, so you get a job. And even it says like that to the local media, they said, you've got to earn your place here, when Jeff Saturday hasn't earned anything. Like, you don't have any experience. You haven't, like, you've played with the Colts the last season, I think, was like 2012. That's not that long ago, to then become the head coach. And they speak about like having to earn the job and blah, 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 blah. But he didn't really earn anything. And I think overall, like, obviously this is a poor decision by the Colts, like from an experience level and coaching level. But I think like overall, like all aspects of this hire is not a good coach and not a good choice.
Let's give a real world example for the girlies and the boys that are in a 9-to-5 job. So they say this in sales, just because you can sell well does not mean you'd be a good sales manager. So let's say you join up a company as like an entry level salesperson and you're really good at your job. And then the president is your dad, and he essentially hires you to be the vice president of the sales team. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah. Of like, it's like nepotism, but they're not related.
Exactly. That's pretty much what it is. That's the type of career jump we've made here.
Yes. And I don't think it's fair that he just got hired because he's friends with the owner.
No, but I'm sure it won't work out. So we'll see what happens.
No, I don't think so either. But I mean, based on the interviews that they've had, like it sounds like they're pretty much like, obviously they're going to say they're all in on whatever. But it just sounds like they're going to hire him full time. And at first, like I know in the beginning of this little segment, I was saying like I'm rooting for this to be a success. I'm not actually. Now that I've dived deeper in the article, because I just don't think it's fair. And I think there's way better, there's much more talented coaching out there and people that deserve an opportunity and that have the accurate and good enough experience to be a head coach in the NFL. And this is just not the guy.
No. And Colts fans love this dude. Like, he's a great guy. He's one of the best Colts of all time. But like the Tony Dungy said in an interview the other day, and
love Tony Dungy. He has my heart.
One of the best coaches of all time, best Colts head coach of all time.
Oh yeah.
He told Dan Patrick that the Colts owner Jim Irsay did not consult him at all, and basically said he would have advised him to not fire Frank Reich and to not hire Jeff Saturday. I guess Dungy found out like the same time as all of us did too.
Yeah. Oh no, you disrespected Tony Dungy. I'm completely out.
I just
and again,
don't.
I think there's a reason why we don't see a lot of players who are NFL head coaches. Like, not just like this ever, but just like ever is what I mean. Like in the history of the NFL, like there's a reason.
Yeah,
or not a player who's literally 10 years out of playing.
It doesn't seem to translate, but like to not call Tony Dungy, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like someone who is, like you said, the most successful Colts head coach and the most experienced and well-rounded NFL coach, like one of the greatest we'll probably see in our lifetime. And you have him probably on speed dial, but you don't call to consult him. Sketchy.
The Colts have been strange kind of this year. Benching Matt Ryan, they're 500. They benched Matt Ryan for like a rookie who's probably not ready, could use a couple years to sit. I think they're just like, they're throwing shit like at the wall. Like they're praying something works.
Yeah. And I don't know, as a head coach or not a head coach, as a GM, I would not be just throwing shit at the wall.
I can only imagine the types of calls that the Indianapolis Colts reps are getting and will continue to get. RIP.
Yeah. Honestly, like this is a different scenario, but it would be as if like the Giants hired Eli Manning as our head coach. I would be like, what the fuck? Like
that would be, it's just mind-boggling, honestly.
Yeah,
so
like he only has his experience as a quarterback, first of all, and I would never trust him, even if it was like 20, 30, 40 years down the line. I would not trust him with the experience he has now to coach the Giants. And this guy is similar, just that he's a different position. And I mean, I'm obviously don't know, but and as an NFL player, I don't think you're soaking in like all aspects of the game and like the coach, like no.
There's just more that goes into it than the X's and O's on the field, truly.
Yeah.
But
and
glad it's not our teams.
No, thank goodness. Like, for once, our teams are not in the news. I love it for negative things.
That's facts. Well, good luck to the Colts. I wish you well. I don't have any sort of positivity for you. This was weird as fuck. So,
yeah, like still very questionable. A very dramatic storyline that will play out in the rest of the NFL season.
We love the drama, so this is good. I was gonna say
we like it for the storyline, hate it for literally every single other aspect.